Hey everyone, Lori Swanson here with Inspire Tech and today's Career Alchemy Live. So happy to be here. And we have a wonderful, wonderful topic called it's a quiz. We're good. So if you're here live or watching the recording, you're going to want to give yourself some paper and pen right now so that you can take the quiz. And if you aren't in a place to do that, of course, just think about these questions and come back and do it later. But that's what we're talking about today, a little bit about people pleasing, which of course directly ties to boundary setting. So I will get into that in a second, but really want to welcome everyone today to our live session. All of you, who gather here, watch the videos. My name is Lori Swanson. I am the CEO of Inspire Tech and the founder of Career Alchemy Membership Academy, where as a career wayfinder coach, I support women connected to tech who are at a career crossroads, and we create vision. We set a path, a way to take action towards the vision, and then remove all the roadblocks that might be getting in the way of them having what they really yearn for, right? And even last week's recording, when I talked about the staircase, and if you haven't seen it, I'm sure the link is down below here in LinkedIn, or you can read the blog, which is on my website, inspiretech.com, or follow the Career Alchemy QR code. It'll get you to the webpage, and you can find your way over to the free resources where my blog sits, Inspirations, that's the name of the blog. But I was talking about the staircase, and imagine, standing at the bottom of the staircase, you and I, and at the landing up there is your career vision. It's what you're yearning for. And as you look at the steps going up, they're just littered with all kinds of things. And I would say the biggest thing being limiting thoughts. And the whole point of being a part of working with a coach one-on-one, being part of something like Career Alchemy Academy, is that we're creating this vision, we're setting these action steps, and then removing these roadblocks, those things that are on the stairway. We want to create a path up that stairway so that you can, have the dreams. And what I would say to all of you is that the first step is joining Career Alchemy Academy or hiring me as your coach one-on-one or something like that. But that first step to your dream, you have to take it. And for me, that first step is joining Career Alchemy Academy. I just think it's that important so that you can begin to climb that stairway, remove those things that are getting in your way. And it takes as long as it takes. But believe me, if you don't take the first step, you're going to be sitting here a year from now, staring up the staircase, looking at your vision. And so that's just part of my introduction of who I am, is this career wayfinding coach that helps create vision, create a plan, and then remove the roadblocks, where we really work on both practical and strategic, job search and career strategy tools, but then pairing that with the mindset work and the clutter that's in our minds that really is the biggest obstacle to having, to believing in ourselves and that we can have what we want. So today's topic is a quiz called, "What is your people-pleasing persona at work?" So a few blogs ago, I talked about, I shared a story that I had traveled to Toronto and was on a plane and was feeling super uncomfortable because I had to go to the bathroom, but I didn't want to I was in the window seat, and I just didn't want to inconvenience anybody by asking them to get up so that I could go to the bathroom, knowing that we were close to landing. Except, in fact, we weren't as close as I thought. And I ended up piddling my pants a little bit. Yes, I did. Because I was just, people pleasing, not wanting to inconvenience someone. And I got so much response back from that of people saying, yeah, I get it. I've been there. Not exactly, hopefully not too many piddlings in the pants, but in your own way, how you have seen yourself people pleasing, even when at the same time, like me, you consider yourself, assertive, and you ask for what you want. And if you're the person who's not that, who's shy, that I think the thing to know is that whether you consider yourself assertive and someone who doesn't have any problem asking for what they want, or if you consider yourself more introverted, less likely to maybe stand up for yourself in certain situations. In either case, as women, especially, we will fall into people-pleasing persona. So you can be assertive and a people pleaser at the same time. It's a weird truth. So, and I think that people pleasing, like I would have not considered, and I tell more of the story and how the light bulb came on for me that this was a people pleasing, that I had done a people pleasing action. If you go and watch the video on that, or look at read the blog. But the people pleasing action had fallen under my consciousness. I wasn't even aware that that's what I was doing, being nice or being polite, or putting myself second, not inconveniencing. It's so ingrained that often we're not even aware that people pleasing is happening. And so I kept thinking about this and, hearing your responses. And I thought to myself, you know what? It's time to shine a light on how we may be people pleasing at work, so we can bring the unconscious into the conscious, where we're unaware into our awareness. Because once you are aware of a pattern that doesn't serve you, you can work at changing it, right? So what a better way to do that than one of Lori's non-scientific, meant to be fun quizzes. So now's the time to get out your paper, and I'm going to do it's sort of a 3-part quiz where you're going to discover your people-pleasing persona at work. So let me just give 1 second for that. And just, thinking about people pleasing, I really see people pleasing as a time when we let ourselves down. When we let ourselves down, we've found ourselves giving false yeses, false no's, or maybes, and then we have resentment or anger or regret later on. So that's really what I think about with people pleasing. Like a boundary has been crossed, and we've allowed it to happen. So we've said yes when we meant no, and it's really the falseness of it all. And in fact, I was going to show, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but one of my favorite artists is Sarah Seidelman. I have one of her pictures. Here's an example of the picture that I purchased from her. But she just released a book on boundary setting. And one of the things that she says is, when you say yes, but you mean no, it's not being kind, it's actually being dishonest. So let that sink in a little bit when you think about pleasing others, allowing a boundary to be crossed. You may in your head justify it as helping the team, or being generous or being kind, all of those things. But in fact, you're simply being dishonest, with yourself and with the other people. All right, so here we go. Step one of the quiz. I want you to rate your people-pleasing tendencies. So give yourself 1 point for the situations you've experienced more. We've all been people pleasers. That's a given. There's no way you're raised in today's society, especially as a woman, and you haven't given into a people-pleasing thing. You haven't said a false yes, right? And so I want you to give yourself 1 point, though, if it's something that you're like, oh, more than once I did this, right? And then 3 points if it happens frequently, like, oh, this is one that's pretty frequent. So we're going to talk first about the false yes. So those are the situations where you agree to something without truly wanting to agree to it. So 1 point if it has happened on more than one occasion, and 3 points if it's pretty frequent, So taking on extra work despite having a full plate. 1 or 3 points, or 0. Staying at work late to please or look good to others, especially your boss. 1 point if it's happened before, more than once. 3 points if it's frequent. And otherwise, if it's happened, but it's very infrequent, just give yourself a 0. Okay, the third false yes for my quiz is volunteering to cover for others, putting your own work aside, right? Putting your own work aside to help out someone else. And then, of course, the stress and anxiety that comes with the fact that now you're behind on your own work. Another false yes is attending a meeting out of obligation, but not necessity. I have heard this so many times where meetings are put on people's calendars, and there's a bunch of people going to the meeting in the organization, and the person's looking at it and thinking to themselves, like, I'm not going to speak up, and I don't have anything to add to this meeting, except I'm on there, so I feel sort of obligated to attend. So I'll attend and then sit there being resentful, right? Or doing other work and not really focusing on the meeting, but then not even be able to fully focus on the other work because, of course, the meeting is can't help but distract your mind a little bit, right? That's a false yes. And then finally doing office housework, like organizing or note taking or planning. Well, that's organizing, planning the upcoming event, or just sort of admin stuff, because no one else raised their hands. So then finally you do. That's a false yes. All right. Some points are there. Now we're going to talk about a false no. So a false no are those times when you wanted to say no, but you felt unable to. So very similar, but we're thinking about the fact that I really want to, when you're conscious that you want to say no, but you didn't feel like you were able to. So 1 point if it happens on occasion, 3 points if it happens frequently. And if it's happened, but it's not really one of your go-tos, then just give yourself a 0. And we're going to total all of these points, not each section where this, you can make a subtotal of your false yeses, but then we'll add them to your false no's, and then we're going to add them to the false maybe. So false no, taking on tasks outside your role. Training new team members when it's not your job. Accepting last-minute requests despite disruptions to your own work and life. Staying silent on team decisions to avoid tension. That's very much a people-pleasing reason that we people please, is we're uncomfortable with the conflict that might occur if we push back. And then, so we'll just stay silent, right? And then another false no is skipping breaks to meet unreasonable high expectations. So I'll stay late. I'll 5-minute lunch. I won't go with the rest of the group out to a walk in the middle of the day, a quick walk around the building, all of those things, because you're feeling that there's lots of expectations on you. And so you just opt out of self-care, really. All right, next section is the false maybe. So those are the moments when you felt unsure, but you defaulted to, yeah, sure, I'll do that. So there was you weren't quite sure what you wanted to do, but instead of putting in, giving yourself a little bit of space to make the decision, you just decided on the yes. Again, there's that uncomfortable feeling of having to say, oh, I don't know right now. And I'm going to give you a little bit of technique around some of this, um, but that's what a false maybe is that you have a sense, and that's good. It's in your awareness. You have a sense that, that you're unsure, but then you just say yes. So 1 point, if it's happened on occasion, 3 points, if it doesn't happen, or if it happens frequently. And if maybe it has happened, but hardly ever, then give yourself a 0. Okay, number 1 in the false maybes is nodding along to unsolicited feedback without expressing your own thoughts. So someone's saying something to you and you're just sort of nodding along. Another false maybe is helping a colleague just this once without confirming what saying yes really entails. So if you had said, well, maybe I could do that, but let me understand more completely what you're asking, or the just once isn't just once. It's sort of like, well, can you help me out on this week? And then next week they ask again, and next week they ask again, right? Or at the beginning of the monthly meeting, they're asking again. It isn't just once, right? But you sense that maybe you should ask more questions, but then you just said yes. The third one under a false maybe is apologizing for mistakes that weren't your fault or weren't fully your fault. That's a form of a maybe. And then another false maybe is supporting a project you had doubts about but didn't voice. So not, again, allowing your intuition, your gut instinct, that maybe because of your experience at another company on a similar project, and these people are, full steam ahead on something, and you're like, oh, I remember that we didn't do this and that, and it kind of blew up in our face. But instead, you just support the project, maybe because you're new there, maybe because you don't want to be the one that's, becoming the lead balloon in the conversation. So that leads to a false maybe. And then finally, 1 point or 3 points or no points. If you attend a team social event to avoid seeming unfriendly. So there might be lots of reasons why, maybe there's a monthly cocktail hour and you don't drink and you really don't have a good time when you're going, but you feel like you should. You don't want people to think that you're not, a team player. And that's a maybe, is that you have a sense that you shouldn't go, but then you end up saying yes. Okay, so go ahead, add up your scores, and like any quiz, I'm going to give you your persona. It's not, it's not which Harry Potter character are you, but it's almost as fun. All right, so here we go. Add up your points, and if you're 0 to 9, then you are what I call the self-care sage. You live by the phrase, "What can I do best to take care of myself in this situation?" You know when you need to take a beat. You have a way of expressing ideas and asking for what you need without putting others off. And you're known for being clear and assertive and calm. So that's 0 to 9. If you're 10 to 18 points, then you are what I call the boundary builder. So you balance helping others with respecting your own needs. You help others when you want to and are able to, but not just because you feel an obligation. People know that when you say yes, you're all in. And when you say no, it's because you've considered the request thoughtfully before you've declined. 19 to 27 points put you in the quote unquote sometimes sayer. You say sometimes. You've been, or it's sort of like sometimes, you're like right in the middle here, right? You've been making progress when it comes to considering yourself and your own needs and your workload before simply agreeing to in order to please others. And you love how powerful that has made you feel when you first think of you. You love to be helpful, but now you're starting to prioritize yourself. You might still feel some guilt, that people-pleasing guilt that comes, but you know that this is just part of your growth and that you're on your way to becoming the self-care sage. Now, if you're 28 to 36 points, that's what I call the sure thing. Like you often say yes before considering the full impact on yourself and your work. You're a generous person by nature. It feels good to help. And that's sort of a trap because we like to help people, right? I think a strong feminine quality is this, is this ability to care for others until until you overgive and then have nothing left in the tank. And that's what's happening here is you're a generous person by nature, and it feels really good to help, but your first instinct is to say yes, even when you really want to say no, or before you've considered factors, right? So saying maybe leaves you with all kinds of uncomfortable feelings. Saying no leaves you really uncomfortable. So you just rather say yes and not disappoint others. You can always work the weekends to catch back up. And then finally, the 37 to 45 points is the over giver. So I was just alluding to that. But if you're falling in this range, then you are the person that gets lots and lots of satisfaction and joy from serving and helping others, but you don't have a good sense of the boundary where you are so depleted that in fact you can't serve others because you haven't served yourself. So you are the go-to person for all the things. It used to feel good, but now you're exhausted, overwhelmed, and burnt out. You almost never say no, which leaves you overcommitted, dropping balls, and dragging yourself to work in the morning. Plus, it doesn't really seem to have any positive impact on your career or your career advancement or the relationships at work. And you start to look around and you're like, why aren't they valuing me more? Because there's something about when you don't value yourself, that other people don't think about valuing you as well. The more you begin to set those strong boundaries, the more you feel afraid to say no and do it anyways, the more that you are taking care of yourself and your own energy, the more that you find that you're valuing yourself, the more others will also, like we know you're valuable. So step one was going through the process. Step two was figuring out, are you a self-care sage or an overgiver or somewhere in between? And the final step is whatever your persona, I want you to take a moment, review the possible ways to change your people-pleasing ways and create an awareness that you and all of us at some point or another will people please. And so no guilt there, no shame, but also that you are putting in place practices that empower you to break old patterns and to change who you are at work, how into having that strong, confident, yes, I'll help, or strong, confident, no, or strong, confident, maybe. So let me give you a few, like 5 actionable shifts in ways that you can shift away from people pleasing. So first is put a pause before your yes. So take a beat before committing to any request in order to consider if the request aligns with your priorities and values right now at work or life. So you can say something like, thank you for thinking of me. I need to review my schedule and I'll get back to you by XXX time. So it's sort of a maybe, right? So it's that maybe before yes. So you're putting in the pause and then you're giving them a time when you'll get back to them. So you're not leaving them hanging, and you can do it in an hour, or you can do it in 24 hours, it doesn't matter. But what you'll find is in that pause, in that beat, you've built some, you have increased your capacity to say no if it needs to be no. Okay, actionable step number 2 is to reframe the no. So again, sometimes why we say yes is because we're uncomfortable with these feelings of saying no. So remind yourself that saying no is a yes to your self-care. It's a yes to you. So when you're saying no, you're actually saying yes. So we're going to reframe it as a yes for you. So you can use a similar version to the above statement, like, that thank you for thinking of me. Let me take a look at my schedule and I'll get back to you. Or you can say, my schedule's fully booked right now, but I will, reach out if something frees up, right? So that's another option. Another actionable step for reducing people pleasing activities and increasing boundary setting activities is to use assertive language. So replacing, you can think, I'm sorry, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you. You can think that. Don't say it. You're going to replace it with just say no and leave it at that. No. I had a blog a long time ago that was like 10 ways to say no. And like every other one, I just said, nope, sorry. Oh, I didn't say sorry. Nope. It's just plain no. So just say no. I'm at capacity right now with my current projects. I'm unable to take on any additional tasks. Then be quiet. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to explain yourself. You just say, so, right now I'm at capacity for all my projects, and I cannot take on any additional tasks at this time. There's no need to add to it or to fill in the space. They'll figure it out. And it's amazing when you do that, how they're like, oh, okay, let me, I'm going to go ask so-and-so, or I'll figure it out. And there's no hard feelings. Actionable shift number 4 is to lean into what I call in Career Alchemy, your body genius. So in Career Alchemy, we focus on learning how to trust our intuition, our gut instincts, and seeing where, there's going to be a point in your body where this is your yes, and this is your no. In fact, I remember when I was going through coach training with Martha Beck, and she talked about this thing where you stand still, and you let's say, for example, you hate eggplant. So you might ask yourself, you might say, I love eggplant, and your body will sway in one direction, or for a no, and another direction for a yes. So you can start to hold the items in your hand. Do I like green beans? Yes. Do I like eggplant? No. And you start to learn your body will sway, but still there will be, your throat might tighten up, your stomach, your jaw. Like there's going to be body genius signals coming at you that are informing you that your boundary is being crossed, and now's the time to take that beat. Listening to your body is one of the best ways to tune into when you need to set a better boundary, I guess is what I'll say. So there's clues that your boundaries are being crossed, and your body is giving them to you all the time. And then finally, and again, this is something we practice. It's called the retrospective. We do this inside of Career Alchemy Academy, and it's a tool we use in order to not lose a lesson. So as I said, there's very likely chance, hopefully you won't piddle your pants, but there's a very likely chance that at some point you're going to recognize that you said yes when you meant no. All of those false yeses, nos, and maybes, right? And just ask yourself, like, what could I have said differently? What could I have done differently if I had decided to speak up and say what I really wanted to say? That, yes, I'm so excited about that, might be the response. Or, no, not right now. Or maybe let me get back to you. So, do a retrospective, noticing what didn't work, you people pleased, and then what you might do differently and what did work. Maybe you did notice something in your body, but then you didn't follow through with it. But give yourself, a high five for being like, oh, I felt my throat clench. often we talk about our throats clenching because it's us not speaking up. It's how our body says, you need to speak up here. If you have a lot of sore throats or, a lot of neck pain and things like that, look at where maybe you're not speaking your truth. That's a really body genius thing. So anyways, that's actionable item number 5 is really just, having compassion for yourself and building up through a retrospective, through evaluating why it didn't go so well so that you can, change how you do it differently in the future. Being kind and generous and helpful are not bad qualities to demonstrate at work, but not to the detriment of your health, your well-being, your daily joy. So consider what drives your people-pleasing patterns. Are you saying yes out of fear of conflict or out of need for approval? Are you setting boundaries or letting, are you not setting boundaries? Are you setting boundaries? Are you letting people-pleasing take the lead? When you decide to stop with all the false yeses, nos, and maybes, you actually become a more powerful you. You actually express authenticity at work. You become, as you begin to trust yourself more in your ability to do what you want, say what you want, and keep a boundary, set a boundary and keep a boundary, others, you are building trust with others as well. Isn't that fabulous? That people pleasing, as my friend Sarah Seidelman, I like to consider her my friend because I'm a fan, says in her boundaries book, when you say yes but mean no, it's not being kind, it's just being dishonest. So as you begin to tell your truth, you become more trustworthy to yourself and others pick up on it. So that's a really solid reason to decide to stop people pleasing and to set more boundaries. So that's it for today. Really thrilled that you are all here. And please follow the QR code. Join Career Alchemy Academy today. We are in the Founding Alchemists rate, which means it's $147 a month to join. And then after the first of the year, that price will go up. And so you want to join now, you want to become a Founding Alchemist, because then as long as you remain concurrently inside the Academy, you will continue to keep that rate forever and ever and ever. And I think that's a really good reason to join. It's just because you're going to get the best rate I'll ever have for this. So do it now. Take that first step, because this joining Career Alchemy Academy really is the first step for you to having your career and life vision become a reality. So thank you so much. Talk to you soon.